Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. A number of Chilliwack and area schools now dealing with COVID outbreaks. chillTV debuting a new series on climate change, and we will talk with the host, UFV Professor Emeritus, Dr. Tim Cooper. As well, a free TV weekend to watch the brand new American Hockey League Abbotsford Canucks. Our special guest this week includes Matt Paisley with the Welcome Mat, your Chilliwack real estate update, as well UFV Professor Emeritus Dr. Tim Cooper. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. In our top story, Main Street Church former executive pastor, 62-year-old John Vermeer, was sentenced to 14 months in jail after his conviction for accessing and possessing child pornography. Vermeer will also have 18 months probation. At the sentencing hearing on April the 30th, his lawyer, Michael Klein, agreed that a conditional sentence order was not available in his case and was asking for a sentence in the range of 8 to 10 months. But he is not permitted to be around parks, playgrounds, pools, theaters, or anywhere where kids under 16 might be. He cannot do volunteer work or have employment that involves people under the age of 16. Plus, he also cannot use any device that can access the internet, and if those devices have the ability to delete a search history. Now, the Crown was asking 2 to 5 years, and all of these charges go back to 2006. He will be on the National Sex Registry for the next 10 years. On Tuesday evening, Fraser Health posted to social media that there had been a COVID exposure at the Sardis Children's Center Society. There's also been cases at Chilliwack Secondary, Cheam Elementary, and Unity Christian School. Now, you can search for all the schools that are going through this COVID protocol through the website and the Twitter feed. It's called BC School COVID Tracker. chillTV is debuting a new 3-part series entitled Climate Crisis. UFV Professor Emeritus Dr. Tim Cooper, who last year was a Green Party candidate in the provincial election, will be your host. And we will have a preview of what to expect in that interview with Dr. Cooper later on in the show. He'll touch base on the science, the politics, the economics, and the technology that is available. Dr. Cooper's interview is coming up at the end of this broadcast. With Halloween fast approaching and New Year's Eve not that far away, you have no doubt noticed fireworks going on in some neighborhoods. And unless it is in a controlled and permitted area, fireworks are illegal in the city limits. The concern is not just safety for humans, but the blasts always scare off the dogs and the cats, let alone other critters. Social media is already lit up with plenty of complaints. Now, for more information on the legalities of setting off fireworks, just go to the City of Chilliwack website. From an information meeting in August to a full public hearing on the location, 511 Lillooet Avenue in the village of Harrison, an upcoming public hearing is coming up Wednesday, October the 20th, and it is expected to be a heated affair. In question is a proposal for a 6-story, mixed-use commercial and residential development not far from the public marina, and just off Main Beach. The hearing will be at Memorial Hall with masks and social distancing in place. The Chilliwack and District Seniors Resource Society is once again organizing a Christmas hamper drive to provide a food hamper program for low-income older adults in the community. The society has been very fortunate to have great support from SKT Farms, Eden Mennonite Church, and other community individuals. Now, they currently have over 80 people receiving hampers to ensure their food security. You can drop by the society's office or look them up on Facebook for ways that you can help contribute to all of this when it comes to the Christmas season. Coming up, this past Wednesday, the BC Civil Liberties Association filed a lawsuit to stop the wardens at federal prisons from unlawfully placing people in long-term solitary confinement. Now, here in the Fraser Valley, that includes Mission Institution, as well as Kent Institution and Mountain Institution in Agassiz. Now, in the lawsuit, the BC Civil Liberties Association argues that Prisons have no authority to impose prolonged, indefinite lockdowns and restrictive movement routines. They also argue that these procedures might violate a number of Charter of Rights and constitute solitary confinement under the Mandela rules. That's an international body that have concluded that long-term solitary confinement amounts to torture. After a quick break, we have a couple of interviews, including Matt Paisley in The Welcome Mat, followed by sports and weather and Dr. Tim Cooper.
Hello, and thanks for watching The Welcome Mat, your Chilliwack real estate update. My name's Matt Paisley, and I'm here to provide you some direct insight on the local real estate market. What's happening, what's hot, where it's hot, and what's not. As your home is likely to be the biggest asset you'll ever buy or sell, I'd like to also be able to provide you some information on some important things to consider. If you ever want to ask me any questions, I'm here for you and will flash my contact info on the screen below. This past week, I was talking with a friend that moved into my neighborhood a little over 3 years ago. He was asking me about how to leverage his newfound equity into an investment opportunity that still involved real estate. This got me thinking how many other people out there are finding themselves with an additional 30, 40, or 50% increase in equity over the past several years, and are also wondering about how to capitalize on this. What options do people have to grow their wealth by using what they already own? While there are a number of options when it comes to leveraging equity, let's look at 3 potential uses of leveraged home equity into real estate holdings. The most common use of equity for people looking to increase their value position in real estate is to finance home improvements on their primary residence. When deciding what updates or renovations to complete, it's important to start thinking like a salesperson and not a homeowner. Focus your efforts on what will produce the highest return on investment. This could mean updating kitchens and bathrooms or renovating underutilized space into income-generating rental space. A new kitchen or bathroom does not always increase the home value dollar for dollar, but it does go a long way to increasing the initial visual appeal of the home, making it easier to sell when ready. However, turning an underutilized basement or unused storage space into a suite can significantly increase both cash flow and overall value. Another potential option is through diversification of your own real estate portfolio. Owning rental properties can be a great opportunity for individuals with repair and renovation skills and those that have the patience to manage tenants. However, the substantial capital required to finance these projects can be cost prohibitive. That being said, sometimes the amount of equity in a home allows for this sort of calculated risk. In these such cases, many homeowners choose to leverage this equity into down payments for secondary properties. These properties could be single-family rental units, commercial space for rent, or even short-term rentals and Airbnbs. Banks will look at how much rent can be generated off of this additional real estate holding and allow you to use a portion of the rental income during the mortgage application process. This is a great way to expand your real estate holding portfolio. Have someone else pay your mortgage and create a second income stream and have another property appreciate and gain even more equity. The last equity opportunity I'd like to discuss is a REIT, or a real estate investment trust. A REIT is a company that owns and operates income-producing real estate. Think of a REIT as a mutual fund that you can invest into. Instead of buying into a fund that contains Amazon, Microsoft, or Facebook stock, you could buy into a REIT that owns office buildings, retail developments, and industrial properties. The REIT is a great vehicle for investment for those that want exposure to real estate but don't have the large amounts of capital for direct investment. Some REITs also pay dividends, so value is not only in its capital appreciation, it could also be in the form of a quarterly cash payment. As real estate is a better holder of value during an economic downturn, REITs typically perform better in tougher economic times than stocks or mutual funds. While these options are all great ideas when deciding how to leverage your equity, keep in mind they also have inherent risks. So before making a decision on how you will want to leverage your newfound wealth, be sure to talk to a professional that can help you make the decision that's right for you. Well, that's all we have for today. I look forward to reading and hearing your feedback on today's topic. And don't forget, if there's ever a topic you want me to address that deals with real estate in Chilliwack, send me an email, give me a call, or shoot me a text. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for watching, Chilliwack, and bye for now.
chillTV Sports, the junior bantam Chilliwack Giants beat Maple Ridge last week 31-6, so there is a rematch Friday night. It'll be under the lights at Townsend Park. Kickoff is at 7:30. The American Hockey League Abbotsford Canucks start their first season on the West Coast Friday and Saturday. That's a 3-game California road trip that starts in Bakersfield. And then the Canucks home opener is October 22nd when the Henderson Silver Knights will visit the Abbotsford Center. Now, the baby Canucks still don't have a radio outlet, but you can watch the games on pay-per-view through AHL.com. And now some great news. This weekend, the first 3 games for the Abbotsford Canucks, all on the road, will all be free, again, on AHL.com. BC Football Conference announcing a rarity in its rules, something that happened to the Valley Huskers in their favor back in 2019. What happened was the Vancouver Island Raiders football team has had to forfeit a regular season victory due to an ineligible player. Well, that player was rostered against the Valley Huskers. That game was October the 2nd in Chilliwack. See, the Raiders won that game 21-19 on a last-second field goal at Exhibition Stadium. So the result now is, well, it was a 1-0 win for the Valley Huskers. All the game stats still remain. So the Huskers are now listed as 3-3, and they still have a shot at the playoffs. The ruling by the BCFC does fall within their rules and regulations for ineligible players. And by the way, the Huskers will be in Kamloops this Saturday. chillTV's News of the Week in conversation with the gentleman who is going to be hosting a 3-part series called Climate Crisis, and that's Dr. Tim Cooper, Professor Emeritus at UFV. Doctor, we're going to be touching on a lot of subjects underneath this broad subject of climate crisis. Are we going to have to really key on the politics or on the scientific nuts and bolts, or is it going to be a combination of both? Because it seems to be so entwined nowadays.
It is, and the 3-part series, the first part we talk exclusively, well, I talk, I guess, exclusively about the science. The second part is about the politics and the economics, which those two are intertwined as well. And the third part is about technological solutions. So yes, it's important enough on the politics side that there's a whole middle piece, the second episode, pretty much dedicated to that.
When did we become aware, quote unquote, of the climate crisis? I keep thinking of the 1970s with, we heard about Amchitka, we saw, there was a television ad out of the United States with the First Nations chief with a teardrop in his eye, worried about the garbage around. Was it around the 70s where we started becoming aware of everything, or was it before that, in your view? When was the first red flag?
Great question. Depends who we are in that sentence. In the scientific world, a guy called Sven Arrhenius did the first calculation about 126 years ago and made the scientific community aware that there was an issue. Carbon dioxide building up would cause the Earth to go warmer. Back then, it was felt that it might not be a bad thing because he was in Sweden, and Sweden's pretty cold. A few extra degrees wouldn't be such a bad thing for Sweden. But of course, now we've gone way past a little warmer. We're a lot warmer and getting warmer faster all the time. So within the scientific community, it's been known. We haven't worried too much about it as scientists until about the 1970s, because it was with the rebuild after the Second World War, industry and emissions took off in about 1970 and all through the 70s. So the temperature started to climb. Carbon dioxide started to climb. So yeah, it was the 70s. In my own case, I graduated in the 70s from high school, and my very last class with my physics teacher, he came into the class and apologized. He said, "Class, I'm sorry." We all looked around. What did he do? What did he do? He said, "Well, our generation has just simply left your generation with two major problems to solve. The risk of global thermonuclear war and the risk of the greenhouse effect, as it was called then, but we now call global warming or climate change today." So yeah, the 70s is a good number to pick for when things became a major concern.
And we're both in similar ages, so I mean, I remember the SALT talks. Also remember OPEC. All of a sudden we heard about this, and I guess that was, what, 75? And so this would be around the same time where we, correct me if I'm wrong, all of that sort of came together and we have to start paying attention to this.
Well, yeah, I think it was 73, but I could be wrong. It's somewhere around there. For OPEC, 'cause I remember I had rations for my car. The problem, I guess, we became aware of it, but we didn't have any technology to do much about it except nuclear power. And there was a whole bunch of opinions going around on nuclear power at that time. Oh, it's dangerous. Oh, it pollutes. It's got radiation. We shouldn't do that. And of course, this played perfectly into the hands of the fossil fuel industry, which were making a huge amount of money back then. I ask my students a question every year when I first meet new students at the university. I simply say, okay, who is making a profit by you being afraid of nuclear power? And I think that question is a good one for everybody to think about, because the fear of nuclear power isn't rational when you look at the danger of nuclear power compared to the danger of other systems. So a whole bunch of things were happening. The fossil fuel industry had taken lessons from the tobacco industry on how to instill distrust of science and scientists on this issue. And today, those same powers have done an amazing job on COVID vaccines. They're still around. It's not so clear with COVID what the motivation is, but it's very clear what the motivation for giving people fear of nuclear power was back then.
We're talking about a three-part series you're going to be seeing here on chillTV called Climate Crisis. Dr. Cooper, talking about the politics too, we always hear about the Amazon being the lungs of the earth. In the overall grand scheme of things, is that too small of an area that would actually be, quote unquote, the lungs? Or should we really be paying more attention to this?
I've heard the phrase, and it's a little bit of an exaggeration. For example, if you look, there's a curve, and I don't think that this one actually made it into the series, but it's called the Keeling curve, so I welcome anybody to Google it. It gives you the amount of carbon dioxide in the air month by month by month. And we find carbon dioxide is dropping throughout the northern hemisphere summer because of all the trees, and it increases through the southern hemisphere summer because there are less trees in the southern hemisphere than in the northern hemisphere. So to say that the Amazon rainforest, which is in the southern hemisphere, is the lungs of the earth is a bit of an exaggeration. However, we can say it's a significant chunk of one lung. I think that's fair enough.
Climate Crisis, you will be seeing it after this newscast for the next couple of weeks right here on chillTV. UFV Professor Emeritus Dr. Tim Cooper, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Tom.
And you're watching chillTV's News of the Week. chillTV weather, it is typical fall weekend weather with an atmospheric river. It'll be a ton of rain. In fact, there could be between Friday and Sunday anywhere from 75 to 150 millimeters of rain. But mild, the high of 15. And just a touch of wind. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Chilliwack and you have a story you think we should know about, send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. That's the news this week. I'm Don Lehn.